In every age, the world has been loud. The clamor of ambition, the roar of greed, the endless shouting of those who seek power above all else. Today, it is no different. Voices compete for your attention. Screens scream, news cycles spin, crowds demand. And in the middle of it all, you feel pulled in every direction. But if you listen closely beyond the noise, there is something else. A quieter sound. A whisper that does not fight for your ears, but waits patiently for your heart. That whisper is truth. Truth does not arrive with fireworks or thunder. It enters softly, almost unnoticed, like a breeze in a crowded room. Yet it is stronger than any storm because once it touches you, it changes you. It says you are not meant to be ruled by noise. You are not meant to live divided within yourself. Freedom begins in silence, in listening to the voice that no one else can hear but you. And this is where strength is born, not in chasing every voice outside of you, but in discovering the voice within you. The world will tell you what to believe, how to act, even who you should become. But that is the path of chains, not of freedom. The whisper of truth calls you higher. It reminds you that you were not created to follow the crowd, but to stand firm, even if you stand alone. Look around. So many people live exhausted because they have traded their own inner compass for the approval of others. They silence the whisper of truth in order to please the noise. But what happens? They find themselves lost, wandering without direction, living someone else's story instead of their own. That is not freedom. That is slavery of the soul. But when you choose to pause, when you dare to stop running and listen, the whisper speaks. It does not promise you the easy road. It does not promise applause or comfort. What it gives you is something greater. Clarity. Clarity that tells you, this is the way. Walk in it. And in that moment, the noise begins to lose its power. Because while noise shouts, truth guides. Ask yourself, have you been living from the noise or from the whisper? Have your decisions been made out of fear of rejection or from the courage of conviction? This is not just a question of philosophy. It is the foundation of how free your life will truly be. A person ruled by noise will always be controlled. But a person who listens to truth cannot be enslaved, and this is the call for you now. To close your ears to the endless clamor of the world, and to lean into the stillness where truth resides, to trust the whisper that tells you that real power begins within. If you dare to follow that whisper, you will no longer be a prisoner of noise. You will become a voice of freedom in a world that desperately needs it. When the world imagines strength, it often imagines noise. The crash of armies, the fire of weapons, the booming voices of leaders demanding obedience. But history shows us again and again that the truest strength does not come from aggression. It comes from stillness. It comes from the one who stands, calm while others rage, who refuses to let hatred dictate his path. This kind of strength is invisible to the shallow eye, but it is the only power that truly lasts. Peace is not weakness. To remain peaceful in the face of chaos requires far more courage than to strike in anger. Anyone can lash out when provoked. Anyone can curse, fight, or destroy when they feel threatened. But it takes a soul of immense discipline to hold steady, to answer hatred with love, to respond to violence not with weakness but with a higher kind of power. That is strength the world does not easily understand, but it is the strength that transforms the world. Stillness is not inactivity. It is focus. Imagine a mountain. Winds may strike it, storms may circle it, yet it does not move. Its silence is not emptiness, it is majesty. That is the power you carry when you refuse to let the noise of anger or the pressure of fear shake you. Stillness is not about doing nothing. It is about standing unshaken. And from that stillness, you begin to see clearly. While others lose themselves in reaction, you move with purpose. Peace is not passive, it is active resistance against everything that tries to enslave your spirit. The world thrives on cycles of fear and retaliation. Break that cycle, and you become a threat to every system that profits from division. That is why peace is powerful, because it cannot be manipulated. The peaceful soul cannot be bribed with fear, or bought with promises. They cannot be ruled because they have already chosen freedom. Ask yourself, when chaos strikes your life, how do you respond? Do you let fear push you into decisions you regret? Do you let anger lead you to words that harm, actions that wound? Or do you choose stillness, the higher ground where clarity and wisdom live? The one who can remain calm when storms rage around them is not fragile. They are unshakable, and that is the kind of power the world desperately needs today. A power that does not destroy but heals. A power that does not divide but unites. Stillness is not silence of weakness. It is silence of mastery. Peace is not surrender. It is victory of the highest kind. The question is not whether the storms will come. They will. The question is whether you will be moved by them, or whether you will stand as a mountain, still and strong, proving that true strength is not noise. It is peace. Every great change the world has ever known began not in the streets but in the human heart. Before laws shifted, before nations transformed, before chains were broken, a silent revolution was already underway inside a soul that refused to accept the world as it was. That revolution is not marked by banners or loud proclamations. It begins in stillness, in the decision of one person to change themselves first. The soul's revolution is unlike any other. It does not rely on armies or violence. It does not demand the destruction of others. It requires a different kind of courage, the courage to look inward, to confront your own fears, your own weaknesses, your own doubts. That is the battlefield most people run from, but it is the only battlefield that matters. For until you conquer yourself, you cannot truly conquer anything else. This is why so many movements collapse. They try to change the outer world without first transforming the inner one. They try to tear down systems while still carrying the same hatred, greed, and pride within their own hearts. But the soul's revolution is different. It begins with humility. It says, "Before I demand change from others, I will demand it from myself." And in that surrender, true power is born. The silent revolution of the soul is contagious. When one person rises above fear, others take notice. When one person chooses love over hate, peace over violence, truth over deception, the ripple spreads further than they ever imagined. You may think your private choices don't matter, but history proves otherwise. The greatest shifts have always come because one person's inner fire lit a flame in countless others. Ask yourself, what is the revolution happening inside you right now? What lies have you outgrown? What fears are you ready to cast aside? What truth within you is demanding to be lived out loud? Do not underestimate it. The change you wrestle with in silence today could be the spark that inspires a generation tomorrow. But understand this: the revolution of the soul is not easy. It demands sacrifice. It demands that you let go of who you were in order to step into who you are meant to be. It demands that you choose patience when your ego screams for recognition, that you choose forgiveness when your heart burns for revenge, that you choose faith when fear tells you to quit. Every act of self-mastery is an act of revolution, and once this inner battle is won, the outer battles begin to lose their power. You no longer fight out of anger. You act out of clarity. You no longer chase approval. You walk in purpose. And the world begins to change because you changed. The greatest revolution is not waged with weapons. It is waged with courage, with truth, and with love burning silently within a soul that refuses to bow to darkness. That is where transformation begins. That is how history is rewritten. Fear is the oldest prison humanity has ever known. It does not need walls or chains because it builds them inside your mind. It whispers that you are not enough. It convinces you that failure is certain. It shows you every possible danger until you believe that standing still is safer than moving forward. And so you wait, trapped, watching life pass by through the bars of your own hesitation. But fear is a liar. It promises safety, yet delivers nothing but regret. It tells you that comfort is security, when in truth, comfort is the slowest death. How many dreams have been buried not because people lack talent, but because they let fear convince them never to try. How many voices have been silenced? How many lives left unlived? All because someone believed the whisper of fear more than the whisper of truth. Faith is the only key that unlocks this prison. Faith does not mean ignoring reality. Faith means trusting that beyond what you see there is more. It is believing that the step you are afraid to take is the very step that will set you free. Faith is not blind, it sees what fear cannot. Where fear sees obstacles, faith sees opportunities. Where fear predicts failure, faith anticipates growth. Where fear builds walls, faith opens doors. Think of every great soul who walked this earth with purpose. None of them were free from fear. They felt it, just as you feel it now. But they chose faith. They chose to move forward even when the outcome was uncertain. That is what separates those who change the world from those who are trapped by it. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to move beyond it. Ask yourself, what has fear stolen from you? What opportunities did you walk away from because fear told you that you weren't ready? How many times did you silence your own heart because fear said, "What will people think?" Fear may have held you yesterday, but it has no right to hold you today. The key has always been in your hands. You only need to choose faith. Faith is action. It is stepping forward when your knees shake. It is speaking truth when your voice trembles. It is choosing to believe in a vision no one else can yet see. And when you live by faith, fear begins to lose its power. The walls crack, the chains loosen. Suddenly, the prison that felt unbreakable crumbles under the weight of your courage. The truth is simple. Fear will always be present, but it does not have to rule you. You can feel fear and still move. You can hear its voice and still choose differently. And each time you do, you weaken its hold and strengthen your own freedom. Remember this: fear is the prison, but faith is the key. And the door has never been locked. It is waiting for you to push it open, to step out, and to claim the life that was always yours to live. Discipline is not a word many people love. It sounds heavy, restrictive, almost like a burden. But the truth is, discipline is the fire that forges freedom. Without it, life drifts into chaos. With it, even the most impossible dream becomes inevitable. Discipline is the bridge between who you are today and who you are destined to become. Purpose alone is not enough. Many people discover their calling, feel the spark of inspiration, and yet never arrive at their destiny. Why? Because inspiration without discipline fades. Dreams without structure collapse. The world does not reward wishes. It rewards consistent, deliberate action. And that is where discipline comes in. It transforms passion into progress, and progress into legacy. Imagine a fire. Passion is the spark that ignites it, but discipline is the wood that keeps it burning. Without fuel, the flame dies no matter how bright it once was. But if you feed that fire daily, through choices, through sacrifices, through perseverance, it becomes unstoppable. That is the secret. Purpose gives you direction, but discipline gives you power. Discipline is not glamorous. It means waking up when you want to sleep in. It means choosing patience when you crave instant results. It means saying no to distractions, even when they look appealing. It is sacrifice, yes, but every sacrifice made in alignment with your purpose is not a loss, but an investment. And that investment multiplies over time into results no shortcut could ever deliver. Think of anyone who achieved greatness, not just in history, but in your own life. What do they all share? It is not luck. It is not privilege alone. It is discipline. The willingness to do today what others will not, so they can live tomorrow in ways others cannot. That is the silent advantage of those who commit to the path, even when no one is watching. Ask yourself, how disciplined have you been with your purpose? Do you nurture it daily, or do you only return to it when motivation strikes? Motivation is fleeting. It rises and falls like the tide. Discipline, however, is steady. It carries you through dry seasons, through silence, through setbacks. It does not ask, "Do I feel like it?" It declares, "I will do it because it matters." The beauty of discipline is that it creates freedom. At first, it feels like restriction, but over time it becomes liberation. The disciplined soul is not ruled by impulses. They are not enslaved by distractions. They live by choice, not by chance. And that gives them power. Power to stay the course, power to achieve the vision, power to inspire others. Purpose lights the path, but only discipline keeps your feet moving forward. One without the other is incomplete. Together, they create a life of meaning and momentum. Let the fire of discipline burn within you and let the light of purpose guide your way. That is how ordinary lives are transformed into extraordinary legacies. Now let me be brutally honest with you. Time will never ask for your permission before it moves. It does not slow down when you're tired. It does not pause when you're unprepared. And it does not rewind when you finally realize what you've lost. The hours you waste today are not just numbers on a clock. They are opportunities you will never get back. That's why this moment matters so much. This is not about waiting for a perfect chance. It is about realizing that the chance has already arrived, disguised as the present moment. Think about the countless people who had dreams just like you. Big visions, powerful ideas, unshakable desires. But they kept saying, "Tomorrow I'll start. Next week I'll begin. When I feel ready, I'll take the leap." And one by one, those tomorrows turned into months, those months turned into years, and suddenly they woke up realizing they had spent more time preparing than actually living. Don't let that be your story. Every great breakthrough you've ever admired was not born out of comfort. It was born in the fire of urgency. The people who transformed their lives didn't wait for the universe to hand them a guarantee. They looked at the moment in front of them, raw and uncertain, and said, "This is it. I'm stepping in. I'm moving forward even if I stumble, even if I fail, even if I'm scared." And because of that decision, because of that willingness to seize the now, they created a future that others only dream about. I want you to feel this in your bones. Your future self is watching you right now. That version of you that has everything you've prayed for, the strength you've wanted, the freedom you've envisioned. It exists, but it depends on what you do in this very moment. Not tomorrow, not next year, now. You are either building that future self with your decisions today, or you're betraying them by staying still. This is why these next 48 hours are not casual. They are critical. They are the dividing line between a life of almost and a life of achievement, between regret and fulfillment, between looking back one day and saying, "I should have," or standing tall and declaring, "I did." So I'm asking you, what excuse is strong enough to rob you of your destiny? What fear deserves more power than your dreams? What delay can justify the pain of regret? None of them. The only thing powerful enough to shape your future is the action you choose right now. Hatred breeds chains, but love breaks them. Hatred divides, love unites. Hatred shackles hearts, but love sets them free. You see, most people misunderstand love. They confuse it with softness, with passivity, with surrender. But real love is the most dangerous force in existence. Real love does not sit back quietly. It fights, it protects, it lifts, it heals. Real love is not the absence of strength. It is strength at its highest level. Think about it. Hatred can destroy, but it can never build. Hatred can break down walls, but it cannot raise foundations. Hatred can silence voices, but it cannot inspire souls. Only love has that kind of power. Only love has the courage to forgive when bitterness screams for revenge. Only love has the resilience to stand tall in the storm, refusing to be poisoned by darkness. And let me tell you something, choosing love is not easy. It is the hardest choice you will ever make, because it means refusing to mirror the ugliness thrown at you. It means rising above the pettiness of insults, betrayal, and cruelty. It means declaring, "I will not be broken. I will not be dragged down to the level of hate. I will fight with something stronger." Love is not weakness. Love is defiance. Love is rebellion. Love is the decision to carry light when the world is drowning in shadows. And that's why it is the most dangerous force, because hatred cannot comprehend it, cannot compete with it, and cannot conquer it. History proves this. The greatest revolutions were not sustained by hate but by love. Love for freedom, love for justice, love for humanity. Empires fell, chains broke, walls crumbled, not because people hated their enemies but because they loved what was on the other side of oppression more. Love gave them a reason to endure pain, to rise again when they were struck down, to keep fighting when surrender would have been easier. And today that weapon is in your hands. When you love your vision, nothing can stop you. When you love your family, you'll sacrifice everything to protect them. When you love your purpose, setbacks won't scare you. When you love life itself, you become untouchable. So understand this. Hate might roar, but love conquers. Hate might burn, but love outlasts the fire. Hate might win a battle, but love always wins the war. Nothing of worth is won without giving up something. Comfort, safety, even parts of yourself. Sacrifice is not just a choice, it is the toll you pay on the road to freedom. Every dream, every victory, every breakthrough you've ever admired was built on someone's willingness to let go of what was easy in exchange for what was eternal. We live in a world where people want rewards without risk, crowns without battles, triumph without tears. But the truth is unshakable. The highest mountains can only be climbed by those who are willing to bleed on the way up. You cannot cling to comfort and expect transformation. You cannot hold on to safety and expect greatness. Freedom, real, lasting. Freedom demands that you give up the chains disguised as ease. Think about it. The athlete who stands on the podium didn't get there by chance. He sacrificed weekends, comfort food, nights of sleep, moments of leisure. The entrepreneur who built something from nothing didn't do it by luck. She sacrificed security, stability, and the illusion of certainty. The leader who changed history didn't do it by convenience. He sacrificed reputation, safety, and sometimes even his own life. Sacrifice is not loss. Sacrifice is investment. Every tear, every sleepless night, every risk taken is a seed planted for tomorrow's harvest. And yes, it hurts. Yes, it costs. But nothing worth holding has ever come without pain. Here's the paradox. The world tells you sacrifice is suffering, but in reality, sacrifice is freedom. Because when you give up what doesn't serve you, you gain what you've been chasing your whole life. When you let go of comfort, you step into growth. When you abandon safety, you find purpose. When you sacrifice your lesser self, your greater self is born. The question is, what are you willing to give up? What comforts are secretly chains? What safety nets are actually cages? What illusions are robbing you of your destiny? Until you're willing to place them on the altar of sacrifice, freedom will remain a dream, not a reality. So understand this. The bridge to victory is not made of shortcuts. It is built plank by plank with sacrifice. And every step across it will demand a piece of you. But once you reach the other side, once you taste the life you were meant to live, you'll realize it was worth every ounce of blood, sweat, and surrender. Your life is not just yours. Every choice you make, every action you take, every word you speak carries weight far beyond the moment. It ripples through time, touching lives you may never meet, shaping futures you may never see. You are not merely existing. You are a torchbearer, holding a flame that was passed down to you and that will be passed on through generations. The question is, how brightly will you choose to burn? Most people live as if their lives belong only to themselves. They chase comfort, follow trends, and focus on fleeting pleasures. But a life of true significance looks beyond the self. It considers impact, contribution, and the imprint left on the world. Your legacy is not measured by wealth or status. It is measured by influence, the lives you elevate, the hearts you ignite, the courage you inspire in others. Think about the people who changed history. They were ordinary in the beginning, but they understood that their lives carried a responsibility far greater than themselves. Every sacrifice, every struggle, every triumph became a beacon for those who came after. Their names are remembered not because they existed, but because they chose to live with purpose and passion that transcended the ordinary. Your legacy begins with choices today. how you act when no one is watching, how you respond to adversity, how you uphold integrity and kindness. These are the threads of the tapestry you will leave behind. Will you let fear dictate your actions, or will courage shape your story? Will you give up when the path gets hard, or will perseverance and resilience define your life? Every moment matters. Every decision either dims the flame or fuels it. Ask yourself, what do you want the world to remember about you? Will they say you were someone who lived safely, quietly, and comfortably, or someone who burned fiercely, who stood for what was right, and who lifted others even when it cost you everything? Your legacy is not a distant concept. It is the sum of every action you take, every challenge you face, and every opportunity you seize. The truth is, the torch has already been lit within you. It is up to you to carry it brightly. Do not squander it on petty distractions or meaningless pursuits. Do not let it flicker and fade because of hesitation or fear. Instead, feed it with love, courage, and sacrifice. Let it shine so brightly that it illuminates the path for those who follow. Remember, the flame you carry is eternal. You may not see all the lives it touches, but one day, generations will look back and feel the warmth of the fire you chose to keep burning. You were born to leave a legacy, not for yourself but for the world that comes after you.